Hey, good evening. How's everybody doing? I'm here playing some NL200 for YouTube. I haven't uploaded anything for a while, but a couple of people said that they liked watching me play and asked if I could do some more stuff, so here I am doing some more stuff, as they say. So yeah, I'm just 4 table in NL200 at the moment. I mean, I haven't been able to find any good games above this stake. And we're straight into the action. What I think here, generally range check, but do see bet with a potential weaker player in the pot. And here I just block against weaker player, potential weaker player. This guy also might be a weaker player, but I'm not really sure. I'm not sure about either of these guys, to be honest. After check, I usually go for bigger size. I don't like overbet. Yeah, the potential reg calls, I expect flush draws generally bet the flop, but he does have some in range. So I'm going to bet for value. I'm just trying to work out if I have a big size here. I think I can use a big size, so I will. A cold call range here. He has a lot of hearts. And there's just like pocket 8s, 9s. He could have like a hand like 10-9 suited. He could have 10x of diamonds. I mean, versus the min raise. See, the problem is here, this is literally... this is never a bluff. But for this price, I mean, we could beat 10x of diamonds, we just always call. What the fuck is that? I said it, I eat my words, I said it's almost never a bluff. I mean, that is crazy. I guess he thought maybe I make ace of diamonds fold or something. That is an interesting hand. Here I could see bet profitably. I prefer to check and try and let the recreational player bluff, because they just generally bet too wide in this spot. That is an unusual line. I have not seen anything like that before. Easy call, and there you go. Well, he's fairly better than 4, to be honest. Makes you think I should have value raised. Probably could have. Generally play a polarized strategy here. Actually, I usually do use 2/3. I can 2/3 this turn. Or I can bet check bet. I actually prefer just 2/3 here. We open this hand. I time banked Queen Jack, which is versus a raise. My typical strategy is to call anything in my value range unless it's massive. And versus the flop raise here, you're going to call with a backdoor flush. And multi-way here. Oh wait, the Robbie hand. I'm just checking for showdown. Usually going bigger when there's potential recreationals in the pot. We want to discourage people from flatting. This is going to be extremely under-bluffed line. So we have an easy fold here on the turn. Typically on these double Broadway flush draw boards I use range 25%. And in these multi-way pots, generally under bluffs. Don't really need to call this type of hand. This sort of hand can potentially improve, but his value range kind of 8x and 9x. There are, you could have like Jack 10, 10, 7 suited and stuff, but I generally don't need to put too much money in the pot in these sort of areas exploitatively. If I faced like a small bet, I would defend this hand, but just due to pure pot odds, but generally don't need to put a lot of money in. There's a fish behind me that could also have something, so no need to do anything there. No need to get fancy. Even if the call is winning 0.05 BB, which I highly doubt, it's still, to me, I'm still a lot easier to just fold in a situation like that. Again, potential fish, we use 2.5 big blinds. I use more GTO sizings when it's just a table full of regulars. The reason for the bigger size, and I've seen some players go to the extreme, but the reason for the bigger size is just you want to discourage people from cold calling. Although 2.5x isn't really a big size, I've seen some people use 3BB. Like you could have a strategy where you use 3BB open. I'm pretty sure the small blind is a fish. So I'm going to open wider here. He's got potentially a fish anyway. Yeah, 3BB open could be a strategy used with recreationals. You just want to stop them cold calling as much, and they'll cold call more against 2.2x than they will against 2.5x. Maybe only a tiny bit more, but it's enough to make this, in my opinion, more profitable. But like potentially, I could start going 3BB versus in the same spot with the same range. But I'm more comfortable doing this. I think this guy's tagged as a recreational, but it just kind of seems like top sort of recreational that isn't like horrendously terrible post flop. I mean, I'm just gonna bet for value. Usually I bet big versus fish, but on paired boards with the board completely locked up, I'll just down bet. And it's usually good. Depends on the fish. Obviously, this seems like more of the type of recreational who's looked up some pre-flop charts, but like isn't that really that good? Maybe, I don't know. Sort of tighter type. Might not even be. I doubt this is a professional player, which is a shame. This is a potential recreational here. I know quite a lot of the people in the NL200 pool, and I've never seen this player before. Doesn't mean that they're a fish, but you know, if you're from Ireland and I've never seen you before, there's a decent chance you're a fish. Because Ireland is kind of a country you do get a lot of recreationals, and the ones that aren't recreationals tend to be known. With 4-bet here, can play cool, can play jam. I generally like to play jam, but calling is profitable here too. Depends on the player. Not a good start. Chop it up. Nice 12-cent profit from the hand. Yeah, you kind of really wanted to have Jack 10 against this type of player. Wait, I've played against this guy before a little bit. Nothing unusual about him in 20 hands. And 3-bet is 5. Yeah, this more passive type is kind of more typical, probably a big losing blue line player. It's more typical of a type of fish that's like seen a lot of charts kind of thing. And range quarter. Probably prefer 1/3. People tend to just defend that a tiny bit more against quarter. Probably benefits my hand to size up a little bit, but I stick to what I know. He c-bets on this texture. I have 2 overcards. A connected board against large size in position. I think I can fold with 2 overcards in position. Wait, was this guy in the pot? Oh no, I was under the gun. Okay, I should have folded the flop. That's a bad call. I thought I was blind v blind there, but I was under the gun versus small blind. I should have folded the flop. Use a. We used to just stab this super wide, but now I tend to use a more On the ace turn, I don't want to value bet. I could like use a block for equity, but I think I just realised my equity and potentially turn my hand to bluff on the river. I'm just bluff versus the recreational, yeah. Uses a pot. I wanted to bluff, but I don't think I can bluff versus the sizing. I'd have to have like a very good bluff in hand. Even then I might be reluctant to bluff. Yeah, this one I got confused. I do this sometimes. I thought it was blind v blind. There was a spot earlier where this guy sat on the table and he was sat out, and my brain automatically thought he was sat out because like 20 minutes before I started this video recording, this guy had sat out when he. Yeah, I tend to mix his hands because we roll a low. So yeah, this is obviously a flop fold, but you know I gave the guy some free money. I don't think I complain too much. If this was like a really like bad looking fish, I would probably cold call this, but it doesn't look. He doesn't look terrible. So yeah, I think this guy generally is a fish. He's gone busto, and I may have missed a hand where he did it off. Oh, he just said jacks. Let's have a look. Okay, cold call's bad. Yeah, he's a fish for sure. I bluffed him earlier in a spot. Oh, it's the Robbie hand. We always show the Robbie hand. That's my new thing. Yeah, it's. I mean, this. I gotta look at this hand here. He's king. I mean, I don't think it's bad for him to go with his hands. Just cold call in there seems kind of dumb to me. He should just shove his hand in the middle. Yeah, VPIP PFR gap is kind of big. The way he played that hand, I'm pretty confident he's a recreational player. In fact, I don't really know. I've never seen him before until today. I don't know. I'm not sure if Big Fox, Head Fox, is a fish though. His stats look. It's a small sample, but he hasn't done anything like crazy. Yeah, we just want some hands, some action. I could have a look at some. Pocket queens and kings. There we go. We've got some hands. This hand will be going into the middle, and this hand will be going into the middle. And we're going to use quarter pot here. Typically, people aren't as aggressive out of position as they should be. So you do get away with range 2-betting. I can't remember if I pure call this hand or pure jam it in this formation, but I think it's just plus EV to jam, so I'm just going to jam. I mean, either way, it's plus EV to do both. Against under the gun, we fold 2.3 of ace-3 offsuit. He's tanking. Maybe he was on a different table. Let's have a look. Yeah. What do we had? like I have a strategy where I generally just play some hands I play mixed, but most spots I just use pure jam, pure raises. That doesn't generally make much of a difference, except for in specific spots where, like, you should mix certain hands so that when you get to certain types of boards, you don't end up overfolding because you don't have enough of a certain hand type, which can happen on certain board types. But it's kind of a sacrifice in the EV of that for the simplicity. I think generally is worth it. Gonna open small. He's short, and we do want people to call. And we do want the fish to call too. So I could play my hand as a check or a bet, and I'm just gonna bet. I think I can go any size I could pot. He's just gonna call me with a jack anyway. I thought I'd just go half pot to make sure he calls any pair. Obviously, he completely missed the board, so he folds, but that's fine. We just need to build. When we have value hands, we build pots. When we have bluff catchers or showdown hands, we check and let them build pots. That's the rule of the game. With a hand that wants to build a pot, because we can always pot control it. We can always play that hand profitably versus raises. We can get it in. Well, there's so many options. This is generally a call in this spot. I still use 1/3 even on these low boards. I think from a technical perspective, I might change my strategy to have more of a sort of less of a betting range in this spot and more of a checking range. But I still generally play 1/3 as a rule. There's not a huge EV difference. It's just that, like, in a pool like this, I kind of want to. We're going to call here. In this spot, I can bet or check. I think I'm going to go 2/3. You could also use overbet. A 7/6 fills up. He doesn't have 7/6 offsuit. 7/6 suited could be in there low frequency. I feel like it's too thin for overbet. Here I was going to check raise anyway. That was my plan all along. He uses a half pot, so I go 3x. I think I'm meant to go a little bigger. Easy fold versus over here. And debating if I can value bet this. Jack 9, Ace 9, Queen 10 diamonds. I think I can value bet this. I don't think Jack X2 fills. I'm just going to use a 2/3 strategy. Here I'm going to use block or check. So it's a block. Jack 10 diamonds is an unfortunate river. Can I value bet this river? It calls block. And to free bet this. I think I should have used check just to make it easier to play the river. King 10, he called a check raise with King 10. Okay, that's fine. Should have gone bigger. Meaning I'm surprised that hand doesn't fall, but pre-flop. I think I rip in jacks in this situation. I think, like, generally, he's going to have like a bunch of ace 7s, ace 8s, king 9s. I just wanted to get it in. That is a bad time to see a jack. Not this time. We lose, unfortunately. We check around here. We use a polar strategy with fish. This guy can check quite wide in position in this spot. I think I'm going to wait to bluff the river here. This is a recreational player, so I'm going to just use a big bet. Hope that he's connected somehow. This guy hasn't shown interest in the pot. So, okay, the fish bets. So I'm going to overbet the turn now. And see what happens. This is like the polarized strategy coming into play. The very normal strategy versus a recreational player. Generally, see, I hope he doesn't have nines. And we play. Okay, he's jack 9. Give him a jack, give him a 9. I deserve it. A test, give me the 10 again. I mean, kind of a caller from his perspective, so I don't blame him for doing that. There's nothing like he didn't like. This isn't the type of fish that just whales it off, which generally their strategy works best against that type of fish who's just whaling it off, like calling ridiculous. Like this seems to be the type that like makes proper calls and decisions. So he's a bit unlucky in that regard, but obviously, you know, pre-flop wise, you could perhaps say he's too passive. Just like flat in his hand, obviously, isn't like theoretically the best thing. It might be potentially slightly winning if you're a decent player, but I don't. So like, yeah, obviously, you get punished because I would just pure fault this hand, but like in terms of how the post flop went, there's nothing he could do. He's got to call the flop. And the turn, you know, jam seems pretty reasonable to me. But like the point is to build pots versus the recreational players. I think this guy. I think I cold call this hand, but I could actually fold. Everyone is really deep here. Come to think of it, probably want to fold more when everyone's so deep. I was thinking that this guy was on the cutoff, but he didn't realize that the guy just left him. We're definitely opening this with fish. He uses a big size. Ace of diamonds is like one of the few overcard hands we consider calling. This is supposed to call a free bet in theory, and this is a small free bet, so guess we'll call. Oh wow, we got rewarded for that. Fold. I think I'm just going to shove the flop. There's an argument to call. But like, he just got and call with an overpair anyway. But like, I think overpairs can like shut down if it gets too bad the turn. So honestly, he might even call with ace high, but the fact he hasn't called tells me he doesn't have an overpair. Oh, okay, fair enough. Probably just going to raise this for value. Jam the turn. He's unlucky there. I've honestly lost track of what's happened in this hand. I think he c-bet the flop, check the turn. So I think I have a value better here. I'm just going to use 2/3, I guess. We're actually kind of deep here. I'm going to go 27. I don't want to go higher than this because I'm going to shove this just a little short against the fish. He might even go with like worse hands, ace queen and stuff like that. Well, the idea is he calls with worse hands with ace king, but like he does this, he could just do this with like nines and just get it in, which is probably not a good thing, but like ace queen, ace jack suited, he might get it in. This is like, this fish, completely unlucky. But I don't have that much sympathy for him because I want the money. Again, now I think we're on the table full of regs, so we're just going to use 2.2 GTO. I use 27 here, but because there's still a guy with 100 big blinds behind me, and I didn't want to use like a 35 BB size. And if it was like all 200 big blinds deep, I'll try and show you the hand. Jacks. If we were all 200 big blinds deep here, I'd go bigger. So I thought went for a size that would make some sense to do with like ace queen, because if I start going to like 33 big blinds here, with like ace queen he jams, I'm just like in a weird spot. So if I go to 20 this size, then like I feel like I can still bluff profitably. I don't know, it's kind of weird logic, but yeah. But I still don't give him like a super good price out of position, being deep. So like, yeah, I know, maybe the size, and it's hard to run sims in a spot like where one stacks 100 bigs deep and one's the other 200. There are a lot of people swear by running 200 BB sims, but like they're so the pre-flop in that is designed for like everyone being 200 BB, opposed to other stuff. I think I'll just call this. I'm gonna range bet here. I haven't had too many interesting bluff spots in this video, which is a bit sad. He uses half pot. I don't have turn bluff in line here. So I'm just going to call, because I think I can call profitably. I can beat some hands on the river. I can make a hand. I'm thinking of doing this, but I don't think he'll believe me, so we'll just check and fold the river. The problem is bluff catching here is like, obviously this is probably not going to be bluffed as much, but I mean it's still going to have bluffs. The thing is, like, a fish would turn a hand like ace 10 of diamonds into a bluff here. Yeah, we were hoping that he was just like had like a bunch of weak hands. Come to think of it, maybe we should just be folding the turn. Checking this river, the check call. I think he can check back a lot of ace-x in this spot, which is why I don't block the river. I don't think a jack is even worth a value bet. I could be mistaken in this for another spot, but I studied a few spots like this last week, and I was making errors value bet in second pairs. So I think that's a line where I could be wrong, of course. Like, I could be confusing it. I'm going to have a look at it. I think that's a line where he checks back loads of ace-x, so I just don't have a value bet in this spot. It's quite a big size for 5-4 suited, but it's like cool 5-4 suited. Honestly, I could honestly still fold that. I think this is like really close regardless, but I think I can make it profitable. He checks. I mean, I'm just gonna go for the typical stab. Very merged strategy here. I'm gonna call. Do I call this? I don't think this is the weak enough player. Limb call fish. Gonna bet. I'm actually just gonna pot it. Now we have hit a 4. Check some showdown value. Hitting the king, I don't think I want to overbet against fish, because then I'm just going to stack like strong hands. So I think but I still want to value bet this hand, so I'm just going to like bet a half pot. This is an unusual line. He's kind of saying he has a pocket queens or a 7. Think about this. 6-5, or a flush, like pocket queens or a flush are just like the most sensible hands. If he's a recreational player, I fold. If he's a fish, I'm tempted to call this, but I don't have to call without like a blocker to a flush. He's like literally repping pocket queens. I think I'm just gonna let this one go, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he hit like an ace king or an ace jack off here with a heart. I don't think I want to value shove this. I am going to half pot the river for value against 2 pair and fold to a jam. I think 2 pair still just causes sizing. And we follow up a flush. Defend the 2.1. Like he could still call turn with, obviously here's a bunch like a6 diamonds, 10-9 diamonds, stuff like that. We're gonna call flop here. He checks, which is pretty good. He should check a lot in this spot, so I'm gonna use a polar strategy. He should be checking like a bunch of hands in this spot. I think like maybe you're not supposed to bet that combo because of the interacting with the 6, but I don't know, I keep it simple. I'll use a polar strategy. He uses check raise, then uses it. I just call with a pair plus draw, but this is really underbluffed. I actually cannot think of a single bluff he would have on a turn. But my general strategy is to call with a pair with a draw. But like, can you think of a bluff this guy could have? 6-3 of hearts, 6-3 of spades, 6-3 of diamonds. I challenge you. 6-5. Those are his bluffs. Obviously, we have an easy fold in the river. He's not bluffing here. He probably has a bluff. Like, say he bets pot on the river, right? I have to defend what 33% of the time. He's probably bluffing like half that in this line. He's probably bluffing like 17-18% of the time, if at all. I say my general strategy is to call pair plus draw, and it doesn't seem like he's not bluffing that often, but in the small percentage of the times he is bluffing and gives up the river, like ace high mono, we are going to check our range just like the other guy did to us. Checked quite high frequency. We should have checked very high frequency, so I simplify the check-in range and we just delay. This is the type of player I think overfolds the flop c-bets potentially, so just use his size. He will overfold to this line too. And we check back the river. Hopefully he just has like a jack or like a 6, because he can't really fold a pair, and this just this is the only hands that I think he would do this with as a bluff is if he decided to turn a 5 into a bluff. I'm not giving people that much credit, so I'm going to fold. I don't think people are capable of bluffing in this spot, but I do think it's possible people are bluffing, but I don't think it's worth me calling to find out. If it's like a donk, like a 30% bet, I don't mind. This is a potential recreational player. I think this hand is a fold. It's close regardless. Yes, on the turn I generally I call in these spots. A small percentage of the time he is bluffing and gives up the river, I win. But I could also hit a 3 and then I could stack a strong hand here. I don't think my 5 is a clean out. I do think like theoretically you'd probably call this on the turn. You might even bluff raise this on the turn, and you might fold, either raise or fold. But like I think it would be close enough that I'm happy to call this. But the problem with this hand is shouldn't have 9-4 suited. So like against his 2 pairs, you don't really have equity. However, he used this size on the turn. This size is sort of more indicative of an ace jack, ace 10, ace queen offsuit type hand than it is a 2 pair, although he can definitely have 2 pairs in this line. So with that in mind, we do actually have equity against that portion of the range too with our 2 pair outs, a 5 or a 4. I mean, 4's equity against stuff generally. You also block pocket fours, which is pretty nice. But yeah, so still should be a profitable call. I wonder if you do bluff this hand on the turn as a raise. Seems on a rainbow board. Seems a bit crazy. I could call this profitably. I'm going to 4-bet it though. I typically use this size in position. I'm going to 3-bet this guy who I know. But this guy tends to know that I'm a little bit crazy. So I tend to... okay, we get a cold 4-bet. I think you would... He's supposed to have some sets here, but very slivery, maybe. I think in theory you would like half pot, potentially jam this. I'm just going to use 1/3. I think as a board he would, if I half potted, he'd probably generally jam with like overpairs. Pretty bad turn. Like if I was playing, I think I'm going to check, but like if I was playing with a value hand, like if I had an overpair, I could still jam this. He doesn't really have a straight here. It just doesn't. It just seems weird to like do this on this board. But I'll do it anyway. I'm a 4-bet this call versus fish jam, fold versus his jam. I do think like he just starts shoving his 9s and stuff. Hopefully he donk jams so I can fold. Yeah. I'm hoping he's doing this thing where he just hates this river so much. He tank checks, but in reality I'm always jamming. Oh, this is purely an exploitative line. There's nothing else to it. See what he has, aces. Yeah, he just, I mean the way he played it, he had like pocket 9s or something. He just didn't want to raise the flop. Purely an exploitative line there. Just the fact that we think people might fold too much in that line. I'm pretty sure this guy's the big blind, right? Am I missing something? Like, why am I on the button here? Oh, we're heads up, that's why. Okay, whatever, I just cool down. I'm here to play heads up. The beautiful thing about heads up is people bluff way too much. He's betting to me twice on this board. I don't think we have a value bet, so we check down. Do you have a 5? Yeah, he did, that's why he gave up. Find anything else to sit on? In honor of me actually making a video, I will try and find some 500 NL tables, but they're all full. This is a short stack table, don't really want to play that. This table just filled up instantly. I think there's a recreational play. We'll keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on the lobby. Yeah, let's play this table if it's could be a good table. Let's open this up over here too. I think these are both regs, but the table might fill up. Like, there's almost nobody playing NL200, right? Or is that just a bug? Oh, are these the anti-tables? No, they're not the anti-tables. Oh, well, it doesn't matter, I guess. 3D suited. I could possibly profitably call, but I think I avoid it. I would call on party poker, but like when people can see your hard stats, I tend to typically I typically tend not to call. Like if they can't, I think I can get away with more stuff, so I can do some crazy stuff. Get away with it. This table is filled up and it's all regulars, but I'll play. Although I sometimes feel like if I'm going to play on a table full of regulars, I should just play NL200. At least I can test myself versus really good players. He cold called jacks against early position open. So I play this cold calling strategy here. Now, obviously, if you play a free bet or fold strategy, jacks is a profitable free bet, but like generally, as a hand, it isn't super thrilled to be 4-bet by under the gun, by MP. So it generally plays nicely as a cold call, and then if you get squeezed behind, you can profitably call. On this board, I typically check back my range. Even if I had top of my range here, it would probably be pocket deuces, I would still check it back. He could still check his range here. 2.3x. It's now, am I going to get value from anything? Probably not, so I'm just going to check. And then after 2 checks, I'm just going to call a river bet for small. This is either a king, pocket queens, or some air, and it's a king. Bit of a loose open, king 5 suited, but okay. Especially if a fish in the blind. But I'll make a note of that. Just so it gives me an idea. A 3-bet there, queen 10 suited versus button. This is a reg. Free BB open from a recreational player. There's a regular, I fold this, but a recreational I call. Hoping to flop an ace or a 7 and just go in my hand. Unfortunately, I did not do that, so I fold. I'm tempted to 3-bet this, but I'm going to back away from it. But it depends on the fish, because you'll see there are some fish where they're really loose. Fold this. They're really loose players, and you see this guy's quite loose, right? But like they're opening stuff like, I'll give an example. There was a fish that opened Queen 7 offsuit earlier, and he called a 3-bet with it. So if you see stuff like that, then you can profitably 3-bet stuff like Ace 9 offsuit that you would never do theoretically. But like it just depends on the player, because there's some fish that just open in 6 free suit and calling 3-bets out of position. It just has to depend. I haven't seen anything like it from this player, although he does look quite loose. So I'm gonna just be Ace 10 offsuit only and just start 3-betting with my button 3-bet range. But I keep an eye on those things because then I know to expand my range versus those types of players. You probably like check this a lot in theory. I tend to use overbet here. I would check though. Value raise versus 2/3 or less. This is 50%, so with value raising, typically going to go about 18.5. I could maybe go a bit bigger. Yeah, I don't expect him to fold a queen ever. If we get 3-bet, I have an easy fold. This is probably a recreational player. We'll open our hands and with the phone king deuce. I have like 5 deuce, 4 deuce suited type hands, I would raise high frequency. This I'm just gonna call. I think like this could even raise some frequency. Like the problem with having a deuce here is I'm gonna call against him because he seems quite loose. This is where now let's hope he hasn't got 8-6 suited, which is definitely in his range, or 5s. But yeah, we're definitely just value raising this on the flop and jamming a turn. It's big. Gonna try show my hand. I could potentially bluff, but I don't need to. And yeah, we just fold, I guess. All in here on the turn. Small size in against a crazy fish, but it's such a bad hand to play in position. I would fold it. I'd rather call Queen 10 offsuit than that A7 offsuit. Let's just check in here versus fish. Generally, when players start to get shot or stacked, I'm still going to bluff him. I say I was still going to bluff him. I'm now thinking that I just beat so many draws. I should have just called called him down. Okay, I'm not going to bluff him because I actually think that I just beat so many hands and he rarely ever folds a pair. Yeah. So yeah. Little value raise on the turn. But these are the sort of things you can do versus fish. I do tend to raise versus this half pot probe size because it's usually just nonsense. Yeah, then they obviously they're going to chase like even the worst draws in their range that should be folding, which is why I checked it down on the river. Because I also thought like if he has a hand like a 5, he's just never going to fold to a race. There's no need to turn my hand to a bluff. But then you might think, why call the turn then? That's a good question. But then if you knew that you could just make him fold then and there without having to like see a river, that's probably why I would do it. Again, a recreational player, we're just gonna bet. I don't think I want to bet for value here, so I'm going to check this side. Probably fold to a big bet, of course, fold. And we're going to fold this river. I'm just going to call and see what develops. I'm going to call down. Yeah, well, by the time I call this, I'm basically committed to the pot, but I don't see the point in jamming because I need him to blast off. I need him to be able to like shove in some king jack or something. Of course. No, he didn't shove it in. Very sad. This table hasn't really got going. It's been pretty lucky that I've been able to get into pots with him the last few minutes. I think he's on the verge of doing it off. He's just in every hand at this point. Although he has had some legit hands, but still. He won the pot. Opening ace-5 with fish and blind. Get 3-bet, we fold. I think I'm going to stop at 10, be about an hour session. I'm going to play his hand. You may need a check raise. And we've pre-rolled. And yeah, and then I decide, because I'm checking range here, I can have multiple strategies. I could use overbet. I could use 2/3. I'm just going to use, I generally just put everything into 2/3 here. And overbet more exploitatively. It's a pretty simple strategy. And with second nuts here, I generally would target 2 pairs if I bet big. So I'm going to use 2/3 because I'm not sure what size to use. To be honest, I think this hand's like potentially could be worth more. But yeah, 2/3 Cool River. So it has double backdoor. 6/3 suited, I'm almost certain is a call, but I think I need to let go of this. I think 6/2 suited could be indifferent. I could also be completely wrong and clueless, but it's just this ace high board that's like kind of disconnected. This kind of backdoor flush isn't the worst hand in the world when you're in position to against a small c-bet. Like you're gonna be calling this spot with like king 10 offsuit, and I think even like jack 8 suited and stuff is gonna call here. Any sort of backdoor flush straight is generally calling. It just depends because this is a backdoor flush straight, but it's kind of a weak one. Whereas jack 8 diamonds is a lot stronger. But I might be defending because I think 6/3 suited is a call, yeah. And this guy limps. I'm just going to try and get heads up with him. This is sort of play that does cold call these spots though, so I should have maybe gone a bit bigger. But that's fine. Because I know this guy is rarely going to fold. I'm not going to call a limp call with this hand. I would have. I mean, it's not the worst hand if he limp calls like. If he's just like limp raise and like random stuff, like you hit top pair, you generally go with it. But like, because limp raises can be just random stuff. But it's not the worst hand to play. But 1.5 SPR, I probably want to have a very strong range. Open this first as a recreational. He's looking a little crazy. Okay, it's only 2 hands, I can't judge. We now heads up, and I'll play heads up, so we're gonna end. Though I know you'd probably call this hand heads up. I wonder if you'd ever raise this. I mean, I'm rolled pretty high, so I'm gonna raise. I think you definitely want to be backdoor, like Queen 10 suited focus, but I would just 3-bet that hand anyway, so yeah. And then I'm going to use overbet. So here I'm just repping a 5. To be honest though, I could have like kings in my value range. I could have like a king 10 offsuit, but I don't think I'd put them into overbet, but I'm not a heads up specialist. Okay, well, we're no longer heads up, so I'm not sure, so I'm just going to just only play for a 125% sizing with my 5x. Yeah. Let's see about a quarter pot here. This guy managed to recover some chips. These is quad pot I call. We're actually pretty deep here, so I'm going to use bigger size. Uses half pot, so we just failed. Like here was like we were at least 170 deep with everybody. So now I can think about adjusting my sizings. Now we're heads up again. GG. This table has lost its recreational player too. Probably just do one more orbit. Have I got any done with the leaderboard? Did I get any placement on the leaderboard? You'll see these things. It looks like I came exactly 50th, which I think is enough to get nothing. How sad. I think on 100 now, that's enough to get you $20, $25 or something. Okay, it's a fish about to get stacked. He uses his normal nonsense half pot size, but he calls. Has he got a pair? Last orbit for me. Oh. I'm gonna just call here. It doesn't seem like a sort of stack depth I want to do. I could raise this jam turn just like we saw there, and I can probably just get this in. Okay, well, good luck us. And we win. So deep. I still don't play cold call, but I wonder if you could cold call here. I just don't see any incentive to cold call when you don't have like a nut flush type hand, or if there isn't a fish in the pot. Like maybe you profitably could, but I don't really have a strategy from the small blind against button deep. I generally only have one versus blind v blind where I have a specific strategy, specific sizes, specific ranges, etc. But I just think it's so unlikely that I end up in a three-way spot where I'm deep. I just don't think about it too hard. I just adjust my preflop sizes and that's it. Yeah. But like blind v blind, I can like change my strategy. I can use bigger sizes. I can use specific hands to 4-bet bluff, etc. Not very many hands left. Pocket 8's the last hand. Hopefully this guy shoves and everyone else folds. Ah, okay. Hopefully we flop a set and this guy flops a lower set. Okay, well, the fold's still profitable. We're going to get anything down here? Probably not. So, yeah. We've got some entertainment, at least a min free bet by recreational. This is probably a table worth sitting on for like longer because of this. He just seems like the kind of aggressive type of fish that he's just gonna. This is the type of player that's just gonna like blast it off in like in an hour's time. He'd have probably blasted off his entire stack or doubled up his stack because everyone keeps folding against his aggression. Like that's the type of player he is. Now if he 3-bets me again, So instead of just 4-betting him like a balanced bluffing range, I'm just going to shove and see if he gets it in. So let's see if he'll get it in light of like 8s or like ace queen. Oh, we'll see. I reckon he'll fold here like a lot, honestly. But like he is that type of player. I could 4-bet like to a normal size in. I think like he's just gonna call really wide with hands that should fold, which is probably quite good, like long term. But to quote one of my friends who used to play poker, he used to play a lot of poker. He used to say, I usually just jam ace king against a fish because I cannot be bothered to play a 4-bet pot out of position, which is fair enough. Yeah, with that in mind, that's my last hand. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you all have a nice Christmas and take care.